Tiebreaker here on Three-Way Sunday in our Link to the Past tournament. I am Phantom Ryu, joined by Adirondack Rick, and I know I pronounced that one correctly. And it looks like we are off, ladies and gentlemen.
What's that first chest? What's that first chest going to be?
Flute. 50
rupees.
bucks. 50 bucks. But that does put them in a good position to be able to get sufficient rupees in the escape so that they don't have to worry about Bottle Merchant.
Oh, here we go. So this is group... What is this? Group Q?
Group Q.
This little three-way thing was set up by the help of Jay Coper, who ended up splitting his final two races of the group there, which put DoDeChehedron, zer0rush, and Chrouya into a tie for, I believe, 2-2 with their records.
And that just tells you that how well the pools were seeded, that we had such a close race in so many of them. It was, 1 out of 4 ended up in a three-way tiebreaker. So kudos to the tournament organizers for seeding so well and getting such close competition in all the groups.
Absolutely. It just shows you the talent pool that we have here.
It looks like zer0rush, he's got 3 bombs. Everybody has 3 bombs. Okay, they were both everybody's farming a little bit here in Escape to make sure that they have sufficient bombs so they can go through Kakariko Village, which is the most item-heavy route to go after you finish Escape.
So, here's the thing. This group here was Sean Cass. Sean Cass has already punched his ticket into the tournament. The bracket, rather. He's 3-1. These guys finished 2-2. They are hoping to make their way into the bracket as well. They got themselves a bottle, which definitely helps because, you know, getting that bottle will become significant in about 10 minutes from now.
Right, got to see what the sick kid in Kakariko Village is willing to give you just for showing him a bottle.
You know how life is when you can show this kid a bottle. He gets so happy, and then you find out what caused him to be so ill.
Right, and sometimes it's those legal drugs, that magic mushroom.
There's an epidemic in Hyrule, but we won't get into that.
No, not at all. That's something that we don't talk about in polite company.
This is a family-friendly stream.
Indeed. This looks like DoDeChehedron getting to the ball and chain night first.
And DoDeChehedron now finishing off, grabbing the map. First one is Zelda. And we're probably going to see some strats here from DoDeChehedron that we'll maybe see from the other two, but definitely we'll see a DoDeChehedron. DoDeChehedron and Chrouya in his 4 races knows how to hover.
Oh, hover hype. So that can help you out in a couple of different places. I can't remember which. The Spectacle Rock Cave can also help you out in. I've seen some people just do it for hype after Moldorm 2, which you only do that if you know you're way ahead.
He ended up doing hover over Moldorm 2 in the weekly, which, by the way, let's talk about that. Wasn't that awesome, the fact that the weekly had 72 entries yesterday?
It was amazing. I think that is the largest weekly that Link to the Past Randomizer has had. Embarrassed to admit, I came in 42nd out of 72. However, I did beat my personal best by 1 minute, so...
You beat your personal best by 2 hours?
No, by 1 minute. Yeah, sorry. It was 2 hours 4 minutes, which was a minute under my previous personal best. So always improving. And I say that to say there's no shame in, finishing in the bottom half because it's a blast.
Well, congratulations on that. Congratulations on beating your personal best. And, if anyone is interested in joining the weeklies, they do them every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, which... the number's been growing every week.
And part of it is due to the hype that this tournament has produced. People are watching it and saying, oh my gosh, I loved Link to the Past. when I was a kid, and this is such a great spin on it. It's never the same game. It's still the same game you love, but it's never the same game.
And if anyone who's interested in going and playing this, well, they can do ALttP. There's links there that help you get into the game.
Yep.
All right, Dode's going to be the first one to the 3 chests here and escape. Now, we've already seen the map, so that's already out of play.
Right. So he's definitely going to get 3 unique items here. Now, so we got $50. We've got Kane O'Brien and 3 bombs. So no real progression items.
But the 3 bombs is nice because then you don't have to worry about being out of bombs coming up to Kakariko Village, where you need 3 bombs there, plus the race game if you find something interesting.
That's correct. Also, getting bombs in escape is always a bonus in Randomizer, because the logic will always assume that you have to get a lift upgrade before you can get those chests, on the chance that you don't receive bombs. So anytime you get bombs in escape, it's a little bit of a bonus, and you can sequence break the logic a little bit.
Well, we missed seeing on Dode's end what was in the Sanctuary's chest. Turned out to be a red rupee, so these guys are already set for what they need in Kakariko Village. All they need is the flute, and they'd be completely set. Well, Dode's gonna find out first if we need Aghanim 1. What kind of item would you like to see on that ledge?
I always like the troll when the Moon Pearl is on the ledge there.
Something that's required, like the hammer, the bow, something that you guaranteed to need would be lovely up there.
And bug net.
Well, you're not going to see these guys kill Aghanim to get a bug catching net, so you can put that away. Goodbye, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So there will be no Aghanim this seed, unless the Moon Pearl is on the pyramid.
Well, there could still be something else progression. I mean, in the last 3-way race, the progression item turned out to be the book. It was required that people had to go up on the ledge. Ooh, the flippers in the Lost Woods.
And when you receive an item like the flippers this early in the seed, that should move some of these guys to hit Zora rather quickly, because it's unusual for flippers to be this early, so perhaps Zora is holding a progression item.
And a 20 rupee sitting in the hut, so we see Dode grabbing it, which probably is a good idea, because like you said, the way the logic in this game works is it wants to try to tug you in a particular direction. Getting something that progresses the game, like the flippers, is one of those items.
Although the seed could also be trolling you, and you get up to Zora, and he gives you a life lesson by trading your 500 rupees for 1 shiny green rupee.
That can happen too, but in that case, you'd head on over to the hobo, because that's where the other progression item could be.
Correct, and sometimes, although this is the no major glitches version, there are certain glitches you can use, such as fake flippers, to get to hobo before you get flippers, which, in a race you commentated just the other week, was a deciding factor in the ability of those players to complete the seed quickly.
Oh yeah, you can see that race pop. I mean, you can see
Fire Rod. Sorry to interrupt, but Fire Rod in Blind's hideout.
It's one of those cases where you can see that end up happening in these races, where knowing how to fake flippers could save you some time. Getting Fire Rod is very nice, because that now makes once you get the other equipment to do so, Tower of Hera and the Desert are now beatable fully.
Correct, as well as Skull Woods if it ends up being a required dungeon in the Dark World as well. But of course you need more items before that becomes viable.
Yeah, there's several more items that we need on any of these dungeons. Like, either we need a flute plus the Titansmith plus the Moon Pearl plus the mirror, or even just the book and a glove for the desert, and some access to Death Mountain, plus the beer for the Tower of Hera.
So all players getting the red shield in the chests in the well. Titan's Mitt from Bottle Merchant. That 100 rupees that they collected beforehand turns out to be extremely important.
So the 100 rupees, very, very valuable today.
Absolutely. Titan's Mitt opens up a whole ton of possibilities, but most of them won't be relevant until somebody finds the Moon Pearl. There are a couple places in the Dark World that you can access chests as a bunny with certain glitches, but again, the logic will never make those glitches required for completion.
The only item that the logic would allow you to pick up as a bunny would be the Moon Pearl. Oh, there's the single arrow.
Single arrow. The mighty, mighty single arrow from Sick Kid.
Well, that's why he was sick, because he ended up lodging a arrow somewhere up his body.
Oh, he took an arrow in the knee, right?
That's correct.
He used to be an adventurer like Link until he took that arrow in the knee.
And we find, well, is that a single rupee in the library? Somebody just left behind their pocket change.
The racers,
50.
Yeah, 50 rupees, but the racers still are not going to come back for that.
Neither they didn't come back to get that red rupee either.
So strikeouts on both the race game and the library, so everyone will save and quit. Now, most likely, folks will go down to the swamp and to Light World Hype Cave at this point.
Now, zer0rush not opting to save and quit like the other two racers are, and they are going to go ahead and check the South Shore area. Now, the other option for these runners right now would be to go over towards Death Mountain now that they have the Titan's Mitt and see what's up there. That would be a possible place to change your, to have a deviation.
Correct. At the moment, though, I think they would need some more items before it would be more lucrative as far as just number of chests-wise to make that worthwhile at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's not a feasible option compared to the 7 items or 8 items you're going to get right now.
But the point I was about to make, though, is that we have seen many times in this tournament, and it's the nature of randomizer in general, that sometimes when you make those gambles, you go to the lower percentage locations. That turns out to be the decisive factor in being able to complete the race. And that's why these races are so exciting to watch.
You know, what makes these things exciting to watch is the drama that's attached to these races. Who's going to get the right items first? Who's going to be on go mode first? Who's going to kill Ganon first?
And the decision making will feed into all of that. All right, we have Light World Hype Cave here with $20, $50, little bit of love, more red rupees, and a big love. So not so much hype in the Light World Hype Cave.
You know, the way this seed is playing out so far, with everything that we've mentioned already, I'm thinking this game wants them to go Zora, based on how it's giving them rupees, plus access to the grinding cave.
I think you're 100% correct. That is probably why flippers were so early in the seed. They're required to get the item on the ledge in Zora's domain. You can get to Zora's domain with fake flippers, but you can't get the item that's there without real flippers.
So we see right now Doda is heading over to the Ice Rod Cave, which was a very big cave in a particular race against Jay Coper.
Yeah, some racers tend to leave that out. So Hobo has a little bit of love, and the Ice Rod Cave, I missed. Did you catch
money.
That one right?
It's
just
money.
I think, yeah, it seems like one of the few locations they have left with the items they have. Couple items up on Death Mountain they can check right now. They check the Old Man, Spectacle Rock Cave, but it does seem to be pushing them towards Zora.
Well, that 300 rupees that was in the Ice Rod Cave might be pushing him more to Zora now.
Absolutely. So it looks like Dodec is going to check out the Lake Hylia Island item, and that's only 20 rupees.
Yep, and Chrouya is going to be the first one up to Death Mountain.
So a little bit of a... I don't know if this is going to end up being a route diversion, so Dodec could conceivably swim down to the warp to Zora's domain as could zer0rush after they were done
Oh,
checking Hobo.
Sorry, we have our first look at the dungeons. All 3 are crystals in the light world.
So all 3 light world dungeons will be required, and that plays a bit into your decision making here. Is that so? If one of them were to find the bow right now, they might make a beeline to Eastern Palace.
And we have 5 for the Tower of Hera, which is going to be a greater decision of these guys to go up that way.
Old man holding the 1,000-degree sword, so Chrouya is in good shape to make quick work of any enemies that come across his path in the light world.
Now, the thing with that right now, getting the tempered sword may make runners start to think maybe you do have to go to Aghanim. And we find arrows up on Spectacle Rock. There's not a lot of options left, and Dode's going to head on over to Sarasota's hut.
Shamalama ding dong.
Shamamama.
Shahala hala hala if you hear me.
And
right,
Zero's going to be heading to Zora.
See what the item on that ledge is. At this point, it's almost guaranteed to be an important item. Butter sword at Sahasrah's hut, and
yes, an ether. And wow, we've found all 4 swords already.
Yep.
Zora's Ledge has the Master Sword.
Chrouya
knows where the Tempered Sword, and Dode knows where the Butter Sword is.
I think you're right, Rick. It may be pushing them towards Aghanim, because with all of the sword upgrades being easily findable here, and with none of them having found the magic cape yet, it may be pushing them towards Aghanim.
And the book!
Literacy lessons.
That makes the desert beatable now.
Yes, they have all 3 required items for Desert Palace.
Wait. Not necessarily. What if there's on that torch...
Oh, correct.
A big peak?
Correct. It is possible that boots would be required for Desert Palace, but Book of Medora, a lift upgrade, and a fire source will always be required. Book of Medora maybe not if you come at it the back way from the Dark World, but at this point in time... So if it were you, Rick, would you head to Desert?
I would think about it. I would really think about it at this point, because I would take a look and see what's on the desert ledge and let that play into my decision. Oh, we have the small fairy coming up here, and look at this. zer0rush is going to use this to find out what you get in the bottle. Oh, it's just a bee.
Just a bee. And the randomizer has even randomized what the fairies will fill your bottles up with, so had he played his cards right, it could have been a red potion or even a blue potion.
Yep, you don't know until you put a bottle in there to see what they will give you back, but that's a nice decision right there, knowing that that could actually have come into play.
And Dodec getting literate with Zora today.
Not the bees.
The bees! Oh, my eyes! I like being in movies, Gary.
So Zero, we'll see if he uses that bottle to his advantage later on. And what is Chrouya doing? Oh!
Chrouya's going into the Chris Houlihan
room.
Oh, the hype! That certainly has more rupees available than the cave under the rock over that Dodec is passing by right now.
Chrouya doing the Houlihan room, which is absolutely a great play. Now, don't forget, Chrouya just skipped over the Ice Rod Cave, so didn't get the 300 rupee prize for going in. And we're going to see what Agina has over here for Dode.
Sahasrah's long-lost brother.
And Chrouya, with the rupees in hand, will now over to the Zora's domain and get the book.
So Chad is asking, how do you trigger the Houlihan room? It's an error correction in the game's code, so if it misaligns where you're supposed to go after you fall down a hole, it will default to that Chris Houlihan room. So Chrouya triggered it by using a bomb jump to fall into the sanctuary sewers.
And that was a beautiful play. Oh, the moon pearl on the desert ledge.
All right, so the seed definitely pushing them over here, with Book being at Zora and the moon pearl being on the ledge. And since they all have the Titan's mitt, that will open up almost the entire Dark World to them.
Yep. Now we can officially say that AGA 1 is not required because they have access to all parts of the Dark World.
So Dodec is going to hit the sure thing chest first. You may not even check to see which item is on the torch in the adjacent room.
Key is making this beatable now.
So now Dodec checks the pedestal, and it is a small key, so that will lock him out of the right side of this dungeon.
Yep, so he may have to come back later with boots if it does turn out that this might have an item in here. But the bow! Well, so definitely the logic's pushing him in here to the Desert Palace. So that's one of the two items. Now, wouldn't this be great if the Lamolas had the second item and all that was in those two chests on the right-hand side was the map and compass?
Absolutely. That's something that Dodec, I'm sure, is keeping track of in his head. You have to keep track of that in every dungeon just to make sure that you've done everything you need to do, unless you're in go mode, and then you just don't care.
Will come to be a possibility that if Misery Mire is required later on, that we will probably see these guys come back in at that point. I don't see any reason why you want to come back in here to check two chests with only one item in play.
So everybody now has headed into Eastern Palace.
Well, this is once again where the logic is steering these guys, and when you found the Moon Pearl over here, it guaranteed that you need to be in here.
That's correct.
Doda was the first one to process that, and now pretty much the way this logic is going, there are two options at play. Do you head over to the Village of Outcast and check that now, or with the bow in hand, do you check Eastern Palace?
And since neither of them have the flute, it's a matter of which one can they get to quicker, and Village of Outcasts is the quicker walk from here. Because Go ahead.
Actually, that... Not 100%, because I think it takes just about as long to walk to the Village of Outcasts as it does to walk to the Eastern from where you start. You could either start at the Sanctuary to head to the village, or you can head to Eastern via your house.
And that is true.
And the map drop there, that means the other item of this dungeon is in one of those chests on the right-hand side.
Could be key if one of the runners remembers it and the others forgets later on in the game, if that is a progression item, like, say, the Cane of Samaria.
And, well, once again, we'll see that come into play probably when they get back over here later on to check Misery Mire. So, Dode, with the bow in hand, is going to go the Eastern Palace route.
Makes complete and perfect sense. It's a required dungeon, and he has absolutely every item he needs to complete it.
And possibilities there that he can maybe find something that pushes him in the other direction. And if nothing ends up there, then he knows the next play is to head into the Village of Outcasts.
There are 3 unique items in Eastern Palace, so pretty good chance to be able to find something there.
So for these runners here, they're probably going to, if you're taking a look at average times, they're probably going to get this wrapped up in about an hour 45, unless we find something interesting on that pedestal.
True, we have seen a number of pedestal required seeds. From what I understand, the late night race, I say late night, it was started at 12:30 a.m., was a pedestal required seed this morning.
And that makes 4 of the tournament. We had one a few days ago, or rather we had that 3-way a couple of days ago where the silver arrows turned out to be in the pedestal.
And not a single one of the runners wanted to go do all the pendant dungeons to get silver arrows. Although a noob like me would strongly consider it.
A noob like you would see silvers in there and realize, I've got to learn how to do my silverless Ganon.
That's right. I had to learn... I, like many people, had to learn it on the fly in the middle of a race.
Chrouya now opting to go Eastern Palace just as well. But this is a potential of a route divergence by by all these runners.
See where zer0rush decides to go now that he's completed Desert Palace.
Well, where he pops next is going to determine it, and he too is going to go Eastern.
Absolutely. And there will be no shortcuts in Eastern Palace. The hook shot allows you to skip one room, and
Though not getting the skip of all of the skeletons there, but was able to get that room taken care of pretty fast. Finds a 20 rupee, so there goes one of his items.
2 more remaining. He's not yet found the big key, so he's going to have to go all the way around to the vanilla big key location.
So we now know that the big chest and the Outermost Knights will have the remaining 2 items of this dungeon.
Is correct. Now, for anyone who may not be 100% familiar with Randomizer, yes, he is able to see in this dark room without the lantern. That is because the coders of the Randomizers have decided that you will never have to do a dungeon in the dark in the light world during Randomizer.
I should point out that is in casual mode.
Okay.
In open mode, all bets are off.
I was unaware of that. Thank you for setting me straight, Rick. So, shout-outs to Vanilla Big Key location for Dodec, or Dode.
And right now, after these guys have already purchased the Zora item, you probably won't see them make it to the upper right-hand room where the rupee hoard of 90 rupees are, and we find a heart container in the big chest. Probably nice to find, but not what these guys are looking for.
You know, just playing the odds, you will statistically find sufficient heart containers so that you don't have to worry about your life during Randomizer, particularly with people at their skill level. Green mail, no big deal to them most of the time.
These guys, considering the skills that they've shown on during the course of this tournament, definitely know exactly what they need to do. They're processing information, they're making up ideas what the next play is going to be, and we see this on Dode's end as, oh, that's a nice fairy drop there from the Red Igor.
Nice execution, taking out both Igors in one cycle there.
Yeah, that takes a lot of fast movement right there.
And Dode does have Butter Sword, so... But it still doesn't do as much damage as an arrow to the Outermost Knights, I don't think.
So, just a plus of 5 to the quiver for the reward for knocking out the Outermost Knights, and there's nothing good in the Eastern Palace, but being a required Crystal Dungeon, they still had to finish it. So, next step, Village of Outcasts.
Without the hook shot or the mirror, makes it difficult to get any further on Death Mountain, so without a doubt, Village of Outcasts is the highest percentage location for them to go right now.
Yep, so that's where Dode's going to be making the next play. Unless he hasn't opted to go to Death Mountain just yet, which he didn't, so that's where we're going to see the routes merge together. Don't forget that Chrouya and zer0rush, that's why they're a little behind Dode. They already opted to go towards Death Mountain and found out what's up there, and Dode on this end here is now going to find out that this is absolutely nothing up here, except for it gives him the warp point.
Which certainly helps out later when they do need to return to Death Mountain. If they haven't yet found the flute, that is. And
if the question in the chat was about the anti-fairies in the big key room. The big key room, those anti-fairies are programmed not to be killed by the pounder, because they want you to get rid of them the way the game intends you to get rid of them, by killing all the enemies in the room.
And also, chat is pointing out kudos to whomever, DH Storm in the chat, kudos to whomever converted the full item trackers for the three-way race. I'm relatively certain that was Feasel, and talk about somebody who's been working so much behind the scenes to make sure that this tournament runs smoothly and that the chat has a good situational awareness of where the runners are in item collection. So shout outs to Feasel and Dark Magician and all of the other and Mythical 9 and all of the other folks who are kind of working behind the scenes here to give you this entertainment.
Yeah, definitely give them a lot of thanks. If it wasn't for them, this tournament wouldn't be quite as successful as it is, and that's why giving them support on this channel is definitely worth it.
Absolutely.
As we're going to see Chrouya be the first one to the Dark World tile. Not by too much. Dode's right behind him.
Almost sync. Might have a little high five here. And also, folks in the chat, follow Speed Gaming, follow Speed Gaming 2, and follow the runners. They deserve your attention and for the amount of work they're putting in.
I have to interrupt you. We've now know all of Western Dark World are pendants. Blue pendant for Skull, red pendant for Thieves Town, green for Misery Mire.
So Turtle Rock will be a required dungeon, but Misery Mire will not. So the flute possibly may not be a required item to complete this seed.
Flute is not a required item, unless Misery Mire has something in the chest, or, in fact, because it's a green pendant, zer0rush.
Chrouya and Dode checking out Sea Hut, the half magic.
The half magic, nice find.
And that helps significantly with, it's not just an item that lets you shoot the fire rod more often, but it also allows you to use some strategies like using the Cane of Burna on bosses much more easily, and can significantly cut down your time in boss battles.
Now, one other point that I want to make right here, we didn't get to see what the crystal number 6 was. We know Tower of Hera was 5. We do see Chrouya leaving town, and that's because Chrouya can't do anything else in town. It's out of rupees.
Yeah.
And Palace of Darkness turned out to be number 6.
So zer0rush just got some more rupees from the chest game. Looks like he's farming rupees now to have some for the digging game and elsewhere. Speaking of the digging game, Dode is digging up the field right now.
And he's going to find that it's another bottle with a B. Well, Zero's going to have a bottle with a B in it. And Zero's going to go into Thieves Town now.
Yeah, and sometimes people will go into Thieves Town even if it's not a required dungeon because there are 4 items that you can grab in relatively short succession. And the dungeon itself doesn't take all that long to clear either.
Hey, Phantom.
Yes, sir.
You ready for some Dark World hype?
Oh, I'm always ready. It's got to be better than the Light World hype cave was.
Well, let's see what's in there. The hook shot! Well, there's hype right there. And a red bottle.
Boom!
And boots.
Deboten.
And Dode is right behind Chrouya. Is going to be heading there right now.
So, Dark World hype. Light World Hype Cave had a little bit to be desired. Dark World Hype Cave certainly made up for that with one item that we know is required and one item that just is going to make everything much easier in the boots.
I'm wondering where Chrouya is going at this point. Oh, I know where Chrouya is going. He's swimming around the pegs so he can check out the catfish area and also the pyramid ledge.
Hmm. It's time consuming, but if it pays off, it will be huge because it is kind of a low percentage chance because it's only 2 items in an area that takes a while to get to.
Being told that the first 4 chests didn't pay off for zer0rush, he's now heading to the remainder of town. Now, Dode is going to be checking the Eastern Death Mountain, and because the Hookshot and the Moon Pearl has access to 10, no, that's wrong. That's about 17 different chests right now. Oh, the mirror
on the pyramid.
That makes Tower of Hera now accessible.
Indeed, it does, and that's some of the pyramid item is one of the items that people. Hover hype, Dode with the hover.
Sorry, but when Dode hovers, we gotta listen.
Oh, you absolutely do. That is multiple frame-perfect button presses.
And the fact that you're doing it at a diagonal, too.
Sick. And Bombos in Death Mountain.
And Chrouya now checking King's Tomb.
And the king was buried with what item this time?
The Mushroom Fetch Quest.
Absolutely. So the king died of an overdose.
He had too many mushrooms on a pizza.
On a Pizza Hut? What?
Watch that be a Pizza Hut that is the reward over at the magic shop. So right now, Chrouya has the advantage of knowing where the mirror is. Dode has the advantage that he's now checked out this eastern section. Now the question is what medallion is going to be required to get into Turtle Rock?
So yeah, and Dode has about a 66% chance of having the right one, but it could be the Trolley Quake medallion that is required for Turtle Rock.
So let's take a look at what we need here right now out of our pendant dungeons. We have Skullwoods, we have Misery Mire, and we have Thieves Town. So that eliminates the Fire Rod, which these guys already have. That eliminates the Flute. That also eliminates the Cane of Samaria. That is it as far as items that could not be in the pedestal.
Correct.
And I missed it on Dode's end. What was the medallion that was needed? The chat will let us know.
Yeah, they will.
So that is the only 3 items that are out as far as being in the pedestal right now.
Ether on Turtle Rock.
Which is what these guys already have.
Absolutely. So they will not have to run around looking for a medallion, but they will need...
Ooh, Lantern! Hover!
That is so sick.
Yeah, it is. And the cape!
So at least Dode will not have to do any dark rooms in Palace of Darkness or other dungeons.
So that realistically puts, by the way, Ice Rod and Hammer could be in the pedestal.
Absolutely. Ice Rod is one of the items that could be in the pedestal in nearly any game. Because it's the only dungeon that it's required for is Turtle Rock.
And now checking the Dash Cave. Didn't think there was anything interesting in there. Oh yeah, it was only 5 rupees.
20 rupees in Spiral Cave on Death Mountain. No hype there for Chrouya.
We've yet to have a 3-way race that has required the pedestal just yet. We've had a 3-way race that people wanted to have the pedestal required in the silver arrows, but those 3 were proficient in killing off Ganon without the silvers.
What I say is the chat always wants a pedestal required seed. The runners never want a pedestal required seed.
The other thing is are we going to even see a pedestal check with all 3 Western Hyrule dungeons being pendants? Being pendants.
Absolutely, and with because the easiest way to check the pedestal is to do it from Skull Woods, and with that being a pendant dungeon, it may not cross their minds until they get stuck. If they get stuck.
We've been kind of keeping an eye. Oh, it's just 20 rupees, so it was cash for drugs.
Cash for drugs, drug deal going down. Link is now Chrouya.
Well, you're going to use the bee that you picked up from the ferry anyway, so you might as well just go ahead and torment the lady for trying to give you cash for drugs. I'm wondering what Dode's thinking at this moment, as he was just sitting there pretty much...
Yeah, sometimes you need to take a moment to reflect and try and mentally check off all those places that you have and haven't gone to, and trying to route in your head at the same time.
Oh, I like the analogy that's being discussed here about the lady being buzzed for her cash for drugs.
Oh, the puns.
It wouldn't be a speed gaming chat without their puns.
Absolutely not. I squandered my best pun on my last commentary, so I won't repeat it, but...
Dode now with the magic cape in hand is going to go ahead and check to see the bumper cave, as well as probably eventually make his way over to Catfish and the Pyramid Ledge, where he'll pick up a nice mirror for his efforts.
And meanwhile, Chrouya's going ahead and taking out Tower of Hera.
Right decision.
He's going to check that chest, we'll see if he needs to go down into the dungeon.
He does.
Yep.
So while Chrouya is heading down here to wait the 35-40 seconds through, what's going through Chrouya's mind at this moment?
Well, what's probably going through his mind is, man, I hate having to wait for the tiles.
I wonder what I'm having for dinner.
Probably not mushrooms.
I wonder, maybe should I try to... what should I do to the validation chest?
Well, they could bomb it, they could bombos it, they could quake it, all of which we have seen in this tournament so far.
Trendsetters.
So zer0rush is going to go ahead and bomb jump back, which the time he's taken to set it up might have done better to just fall down.
And see how long it took him.
But he's going up, so...
Yeah.
So never mind. Commentator's curse.
So Dono checking over with the Catfish. We didn't see this on Chrouya's end.
It could be a required item, or it could be something that's not required but really nice to have, like a mail upgrade.
Well, right at this moment, based on what we've seen so far from this seed, all that's missing from these runners are the hammer and the ice rod, and they could be anywhere.
Don't forget the good cane.
Oh, the cane of Samaria, that's right. They need that too for Eastern. Rather not Eastern Triple Rock, my goodness. Oh, they're going to kill the Armos Knights again with the cane of Samaria.
Hey, you could. I played a open mode seed the other night and had to use the cane of Samaria to kill Landmalas. Not fun.
Well, to be fair with what the chat is saying about the hammer could be in any of the 3 pendant dungeons. It could be in Swamp Palace, because we've seen that twice in 2 nights in a row, where it ended up being that very first chest in Swamp Palace.
So Troll Dorm's just going to drop a piece of heart, so Chrouya's found both of the items in Hera. Well, of course, he had to go down to the basement, so this is inevitable anyway.
Don't check the... No, he hasn't. He didn't check the Pyramid Ledge. He's going into the Palace of Darkness.
It's interesting play. I mean, if Hammer is in its vanilla location, which it could be, then it'll turn out to be the right play. But Otherwise, he can't finish this dungeon right now. So,
Well, that also the fact that he's doing it without the mirror.
true, because the optimal way through Palace of Darkness, particularly in the beginning, is to mirror back a couple of times once you find small keys and other chests.
Well, if Dode finds the hammer in here, that gives him a very distinct advantage.
Absolutely, because the last place a rando runner expects to find an item is in its vanilla location.
I keep seeing somebody head on over to the northwest portion of the world here, and I keep hoping to see somebody head to the pedestal to check it for us, to help us out just a little.
Yeah, if the search for required items keeps coming up dry, somebody is going to get the idea to not only check Skull Woods, because even though it's only 2 items, it is very quick to check and also allows you to do a pedestal check at the same time.
Doesn't help the fact that Skull Woods is a blue pendant. If it was a green pendant, it would make a better play for these guys.
Yes, because whichever dungeon has the green pendant essentially has an additional item attached to it. Because of Sahasrahla. And Chrouya finds the shovel, another fetch quest coming up here.
Well, that's interesting, and without the mirror, Dode couldn't get that. That's something else that Zero can't do at this moment because he doesn't have the mirror.
So definitely paid off for Chrouya to check the pyramid item. Even though it was time consuming, it was assuredly the correct play, and that may translate into a huge advantage for him the longer his opponents go without it.
Like, the only item that these guys need at this moment, I'll keep saying this, the only item these guys need that cannot be in the pedestal would be the Cane of Samaria.
Exactly, because it is required for Misery Mire, and Misery Mire is a pendant dungeon, so it cannot be on the pedestal. Chrouya finishing up the drug deal there. Grabbing a blue potion, because why not? As good as you are at the game, why would you not take an extra second just for some safety?
And I should point this out, this is the final day of the group stage. After this, the brackets will be set. We will know all 42 players that will be playing in the single elimination bracket starting probably as early as tomorrow.
All depends on the scheduling, and the admins will let us know. And keep in mind, it is a single elimination bracket, but all the racers will be playing matches that are 2 out of 3 runs.
Yep, best of 3 series here for most of this until we get to the final 4. I believe the final 4, or is it just the championship, that it becomes a best of 5.
Well, no one will ever be able to say that we did not have enough competition to choose a real winner. Kudos to the organizers for making that decision, because the more head-to-head competition you get, the more valid your tournament result can be.
So let's put it this way. We're guaranteed another 84 races in this first round. Well, no, I actually take that back because of the bracket style, but we're still guaranteed a bunch. Oh, the hammer is in the Haunted Grove.
Amazing. So that even further validates Chrouya's decision to go grab the pyramid item early, because now he can actually complete Palace of Darkness, and he can access a couple Dark World teleporters to make his life a little bit easier without the flute.
Wow. And now I believe Dode is going to get the idea that this dungeon is unwinnable. This gives Chrouya a huge advantage at this moment. I think we have one more. And there's the map. And Do knows this is not a winnable dungeon.
Hate to see that happen, but that is the nature of Randomizer. A lot of times it is all about the gambles that you make, and sometimes they pay off, like taking a few extra, 20 extra seconds or so to check the pyramid, and sometimes they don't, diving into a dungeon that you're not certain you can complete at this time.
And that could come back to haunt Dode right at this moment. Chrouya now, again, with a big advantage. Zero right now, it's not that far behind, but Dode not getting that mirror off the ledge here is just, once again, putting him at a distinct disadvantage at this moment.
Zero going ahead and doing the Froggy World Tour and taking the lunchbox to Gary.
I didn't realize he had a name. What's in Gary's lunchbox today?
We're about to find out. It could be a nice, crispy cane, but it also could be, a single green rupee.
Well, it would really be a lunchbox if it had the mushroom in it.
Yeah, but we've already seen that one, unfortunately, so...
Yeah, unfortunately. Doe's going to check the pyramid item, and probably wish that he had checked the pyramid item before going into the Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, particularly if he ends up running north of the graveyard and finding the shovel.
Well, that's the problem now, is that the way he's routed himself, that might become a less chance of him getting back there soon. Because that's a loose square on his map now.
It's true. So what is... I missed Gary's lunchbox. But...
Can't be anything interesting.
No, the chat didn't go nuts. But he is going to go ahead and check the Bombos monument here, or tablet.
And Dode now heading up to the mountain. He's going to go to the Tower of Hera next.
Zero getting the powder from the Bombos tablet. Never a required item, but certainly one of the most useful items in the game, because it can turn anti-fairies and bunny beams into fairies.
Sometimes it can be a required item, though.
True, if Batman has a required item.
Yeah, think of the fetch quest.
So Dode finding the heart container on top of Spectacle Rock. Also going to check the ether.
Yep,
Great minds think alike.
Yep, indeed. Zero is making an interesting play right now. Going back into the desert.
Well, there was one item outstanding from that dungeon. So
that's correct, and that's the thing. What if that one item in there is something that progresses the seed?
Chrouya is still taking the full clear route through Swamp Palace, and it's 6 unique items.
The way the routing of this game went is that it required these guys to get through Desert Palace, to get to the Moon Pearl, to get to the boots. And there's the compass, so they have to go the full tour here. Once again, this is one of the 2 major items that are still up for grabs.
So will there be some Desert Palace hype here?
Flute!
Yes, the flute! Though it isn't required for this seed, the flute will allow Zero to get around much, much more quickly than his opponents here.
What if the southwestern part of the map in Misery Mire, what if that has the cane in it?
That is true. So I shouldn't have said flute isn't required. I should have said Misery Mire is not a required completion, which is the only dungeon that you must have the flute to get to. Unfortunately,
ladies and gentlemen, put together your swag ducks. We have the Weather Vane.
All respect to the Swag Duck. I am not in the name of DTs, and I do not know the lyrics to the Swag Duck theme, but all hail the mighty Swag Duck.
And Zero now opting to go back into the Dark World.
Dode finds his shiny green rupee in the Tower of Hera chest. So it looks like Zero may be doing the Froggy World Tour.
He's gonna take the locked chest. Oh no, he's checking back cave.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
We can't get copyright strikes on this channel.
It's alright, it's used for parody purposes.
Tell DC Comics that.
That's alright, I'll represent him, I'm a licensed attorney.
100 rupees from the back guy today. Mythical putting in chat that he bets the last 30 minutes have just got muted because of that.
Very seriously doubt it, but
they've muted Legend of Zelda background music in the NES game. Who knows what they're capable of?
That's true. Well, then my humming of the Batman theme is probably no more likely to get this muted than the background music of this game.
Who knows how they work?
Yeah.
Chrouya now making his way over towards the Palace of Darkness area.
And he can complete it because he has the hammer.
So the battle still to find the Cane of Samaria as well as the Ice Rod continues for these guys.
And it may come down to who decides to take one of the low percentage gambles first. Perhaps they're in a pendant dungeon. That is something we have been talking about for a while now, is will somebody go through a pendant dungeon like Skull Woods? Check the pedestal. Oh, and Chrouya gets hit and scares away Kiki the monkey.
Yeah, he's got 370 rupees. He can keep paying off this monkey 30 more times.
It's true.
Well, actually 20 more times.
Yes, he still needs some to pay Kiki to let him into the Palace of Darkness at first. So Dode returning the breadsmith to his brother. It's 300 rupees for his trouble. As Zero is finishing Tower of Hera, and Chrouya will be able to complete Palace of Darkness, and he has the mirror, which will significantly speed up his time.
Yeah, that's the time that Dode ended up leaving behind, and the question is when will Dode get back up to north of the graveyard to check that one loose square?
That's another one of those. So now that square has turned into a low percentage route for him, because he's cleared so much of it already, and so he has to do his cost-benefit analysis of, is it worth the time it's going to take me, or do I have other routes I can take right now which will have more possible items for me, because he doesn't know that is a critical item for him.
And that's why you're seeing him make plays like this with the locked chest.
So I don't know if he has already gone by Old Stumpy or not. I didn't catch that, but he could have on the way with the lunchbox.
He did check Old Stumpy back on his first cycle through when he was doing the digging game.
So Dode is about to be disappointed in what's hiding in Gary's lunchbox.
Why is Gary eating three bombs?
Needs some more iron in his diet.
If he wants more iron in his diet, then maybe he can go grab this magic powder.
So Dode also checking the Bombo's pedestal. Will also be happy to have the powder.
And now Dode probably getting a little annoyed about where this hammer could be.
Absolutely. It is one of the key items, not only to complete dungeons, but also, as I mentioned before, accessing certain Dark World teleporters, which is essential if you don't have the flute.
So we're at the 1 hour mark here of this group. What is this, Group Q, I think it is?
Group Q, that is correct.
We're Group Q tie-breaking match here between Chrouya, DoDeChehedron, and zer0rush. The winner of this goes on to the brackets. They'll be one of the 42 that will start in the bracket stage, which begins starting tomorrow. This is the final day of group stage play. Right now, these guys are still looking for 2 items. The Ice Rod, which could be anywhere, or the Cane of Samaria, which we know cannot be in the pedestal, cannot be in Turtle Rock, and can be in Misery Mire, as long as it's not blocked by Vitreous.
And that would be so trolly to be in its vanilla dungeon. So that will usually be one of the last places a runner will look.
Oh, Dode was checking the first chest of Swamp thinking that he was being trolled. And found it was just a piece of heart. Most unwanted piece of heart ever.
So Zero looks like he's going to check the items around Misery Mire. We'll also see what medallion is required, even though the dungeon itself is not, as far as we know. Ether is the required medallion to get into Misery Mire, but there are 3 items in and around Misery Mire here.
Yeah, let's get ready for this. This will tell us that the flute's required right now. Oh,
there's the Cane of Samaria.
The flute is required, and Zero's the only one who went back into the desert to get it.
That is huge. That could be the deciding factor here.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yeah, it's hard to come up with words about how decisive that one decision could be.
So here's the thing. If you remember, these guys had to go through the first section of the Desert Palace without the boots. They would find themselves without any way of getting the key off the torch. So because they had to go through Desert Palace early on, they just grabbed the Moon Pearl, they got the bow out of the big chest, and left it in a crystal dungeon. The logic is forcing these guys to go back into Desert Palace to get to the flute, to get into Misery Mire's West End to get the Cane of Samaria. Holy smokes!
And that's a sequence that there's really no way to break in the no major glitches category. So they had to do that the entire logic intended way, and zer0rush figured it out before anybody else.
And how about the logic here that has the mirror on the pyramid ledge leading you to the top of the graveyard, which had the shovel, which has the hammer in the haunted grove?
Amazing. We could, and it's also possible that we could also see what we've seen before in this tournament, is the Ice Rod being in Turtle Rock itself.
Oh, we might get a pedestal check soon, be as Doda's in Skullwoods.
Relatively quick dungeon to clear with 2 unique items, and the big key's not required to clear the boss either, so...
And we might see some more hovering here from Dode. Here we go.
Here we go. Oh, that's, he's hovered twice successfully in this tournament.
There we go.
That was his first fall. That is so impressive. The execution there is just insane. I know I said that the last 2 times, but it doesn't stop being impressive every time I see it.
The Mirror Shield from the Helmasaur King.
Which is its best use is if there is a required item in the laser maze, or not the laser maze, but laser bridge in Turtle Rock. It helps immensely because it's the only shield that can block the lasers, or as my wife Sleepy Frau calls them, the spaghetti that shoots from the eyes.
Our Jack likes to call it the riot shield. So far, we're coming up empty here in Skull Woods. The 2 items are in the final sector of this dungeon.
So he will have to kill whom I consider to be the trolliest boss in the game, Mothula.
Power Glove turns out to be in the Ice Palace, which is not going to be something you're going to ever see in the new Logic.
Because of progressive gloves. But here, the Power Glove lives up to its reputation as being so bad.
And don't forget, Mystery Mire is a green pendant dungeon, so the thought process might take him over towards back into the desert at some point in time.
It's true. It's entirely possible that if the ice rod's not on the pedestal, it might be with Sahasrahla. So that is the big question that is the only question left in this race right now. Where is the ice rod as far as required items?
Does Mothula have it? Mothula has 20 rupees. Where was the Ether medallion, by the way?
I believe Ether Medallion was in one of the single Death Mountain chests.
Well, Dode's going to go back into Skull Woods. I'm hoping we're going to see a pedestal check from him soon.
We're all hoping for that pedestal check. Some ice rod hype for the pedestal. That would... And that could... well, no, zer0rush is so close to it now. I was saying that could allow some people to catch up if the ice rod's on the pedestal, but zer0rush is so close to the pedestal right now as well that that might not be a decisive factor.
Here we go. Here's the pedestal.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we have an ice rod.
Written on the Master Sword pedestal are the words...
No! Bomb storage.
So this will not be a pedestal required seed. But we still have some possibility for some green pendant hype.
This seed has already trolled these guys by making them have to go to the desert twice. Like right now, Zero is still looking for Ether Medallion, which is surprising. And he tried dashing. Sword slashes. He tried dashing against the wall and found himself ending up going into the door.
Sword slashes of frustration. And Zero says, forget it. I'm done. I'll go in the developer intended way and fall down the hole.
Whoops, that's not exactly how he wanted to go about it, but... He's got 12 bumps. He's got enough in his pack here, and we're going to see Dode make a run for Thieves Town. I really hope he checks north of Graveyard after this.
Absolutely. It's about it's his only chance to make up any kind of time here.
Like, right now, these guys are on borrowed time until Chrouya comes into the desert, grabs that flute.
Now, again, though, if we saw one of the runners, I think it was Chrouya, dive into Thieves Town, but not complete the dungeon. If the ice rod turns out to be in here and Dode finds it, that could be a huge difference maker. It's all about the ice rod location at this point.
At the rate this seed is going, it'll be in the chest that is big key required. And hammer required. So if we're counting our items right there, that is 2. That is one item that is off the tables here for this Thieves Town, as the key, the big key, and the compass were all found in the first 4 chests, plus a 20 rupee.
And there are, it's either 4 or 5, Rick, items in Thieves Town.
It's 4.
4, okay. 5 for Palace of Darkness, 6 for Swamp Palace.
Yep. Which is why those are understandable plays.
Absolutely. The only other area of that size in the game that has that many chests is the Death Mountain Cave with 2 on one floor and 5 on the next.
Now, Chrouya ended up checking Agina's cave, but not going back into the desert, which could have been a game changer for Chrouya at this point. Like, right now, Chrouya has an advantage over zer0rush, and zer0rush has an advantage over Chrouya, and Dode is behind because of the lack of the hammer.
But if he ends up finding the ice rod in here, he will have an advantage over everyone, and then we'll be in a rock, paper, scissors situation.
Where could this ice rod be? The problem is that this ice rod can be anywhere. It could be deep into Misery Mire for all we know. It could be deep into Turtle Rock for all we know.
Absolutely. The only place it can't be is Ganon's Tower. Zero's getting trolled a little bit by Mothula here. He's had a couple hits where Mothula is floated over the spikes and therefore takes no damage, because the only way for them to code it so that it wouldn't constantly take damage from the spikes was to make it immune to the spikes. And so therefore, if you hit it and it touches a spike, it takes no damage.
We have found 3 of the 4 items now. So this fight against Blind is going to be very telling.
Blind could be the key to the whole run.
If Blind does not have the 4th item, if Blind has the map, that means the 4th item is in that hammer block chest.
Which Dode does not have.
Hammer turned out to be in the Haunted Grove. You need the shovel to get it.
And this would be the second dungeon that Dode has gone into without being able to fully clear the dungeon.
We're getting 300 rupees here from the Ice Rod Cave. He's running out of possibilities right now. It's the Quake Medallion, so good news. The map is in the big chest.
So Dode does not need to concern himself with returning to this dungeon because he has found everything there is to find in it.
Chrouya's going to go to Ice Palace, and I can't blame him for this play at this moment.
No, not at all. Although it only has 2 or 3 unique items in it, it's still required, and it's not the fastest clear in the world, but if you've got to do it anyway, why not?
And Chrouya is walking away from where the place he needs to go is. He is now heading away from that top of the graveyard. That's a huge problem. That is a loose square for him at this point.
Well, Zero's going to be very happy here.
I think Dode's going to go back to the desert, which will help him out in the fact that it has the flute. And Zero now getting the shovel.
He will be extremely happy when he goes and digs up the grove.
So Dode is about to get the flute in just a moment. Zero's about to get the hammer in due time. Both are key items.
As I've noted before, we have seen completion times in this tournament around the time that we're at now. So we have seen people complete the game in around an hour 19. So from this point onward, each of the racers has to be thinking, am I behind? How am I doing? Am I running out of time? Because it is not unreasonable to believe that your opponent could be close to completing the seed.
Although the way that Do's going about this desert, I think he'll be kind of figuring that an hour 19 is just not completable, and the way this seed is heading out. Because you wouldn't think about going back to a dungeon that you've already completed to get another item that you couldn't get earlier on because you didn't have all the equipment. He picks up the flu, you know his next stop.
Absolutely.
So right now, Zero, now checking out Sarasala's hut, as he didn't check it out earlier.
Wow, you're right. Wow, I thought all the runners had hit it, but he'll at least get his butter sword for that, but nothing huge, nothing essential except the ether medallion.
Ether medallion, which we know is essential.
Yep. I thought the ether medallion had been somewhere else.
You and your thinking.
I know. I ought to be outlawed. Shows what I get for thinking without the proper equipment.
It's 2:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday. You shouldn't be required to think.
That's true. Maybe a good
catfish. Catfish didn't turn out to be anything. It turned out to be rupees, I believe.
Yeah. I believe you are correct. I think it was one of the 28 red rupees.
And so Dode is going to be checking out Misery Mire. He's going to be happy that it does have one essential item.
The good cane. Well, at least the required cane.
The red cane. The cane these guys want to have. Not that blue one they found 6 minutes in.
Which, quite honestly, the cape is generally far superior to.
With one exception. And that one exception being up on that fight against Blind. But Dode has already fought Blind.
Yep.
Its usefulness is gone. And now that Zero now has the hammer, right now he's the closest to go mode. Which is unbelievable. This race is taking so many turns, and it comes down to where is this lovely thing called the Ice Rod? Could Cold Stare have it?
It's possible. Nice Cold Stare fight from Chrouya. No, just gets the compass. That's all right. That's his third crystal, which puts him, as far as required items go, puts him pretty far ahead of his opponents.
zer0rush now, Dode's now in Misery Mire. zer0rush is about to go into Swamp Palace. I don't know where Chrouya is going to go next, but the play he needs to make is to go back into the desert.
Absolutely. Get that flute so he can get the red cane.
Like, the plays that are remaining to these players, Chrouya and Dode's plays, where they need to go is such a low probability.
It's one of those, it's the leftover that I couldn't clear when I made a sweep through the area. And so it's also entirely possible to forget that, particularly like with the cave above the graveyard. Well, if you already did King's Tomb, and you already did the sewer, and you already did Catfish, and you checked the item on Bumper Cave, you're likely going to forget about that one.
Oh, well, Chrouya remembers something. I have access to the Pyramid Bomb.
Now this could be the Ice Rod.
We saw it happen in the three-way race in Group N on Friday night.
Yep.
Could this be another seed where the pyramid, the double-chested fairy, results in go mode, or the item that would put people in go mode?
Dode is going through Misery Mire, which, I mean, this will be his third pendant dungeon, and there are only 2 items in Misery Mire, so
double-chested fairy, heart container,
and
red Rupino.
So the Ice Rod remains elusive for this seed.
Well, she's as cold as ice. but she didn't give them the ice rod that they needed.
So, what locations? There's Spike. We have Spike Cave that I don't believe anyone has checked.
Yep.
We have. Has anyone checked to see the item that's on the outside of Bumper Cave yet?
Yeah, we've seen them make a pass towards there. It's nothing important.
And as the chat is pointing out, Ice Rod and Mimic Cave would be probably the biggest troll.
That'd be a biggest feud to these guys in a seed that's already given them enough of that as it is.
Absolutely.
All right, big key pickup here for Dode in a green pendant dungeon. Chrouya checking over the Skull Woods. We know this is not going to be the right play.
Zero, when he completes Swamp Palace here, will have his first crystal. But even though Chrouya already has 3 crystals, that doesn't necessarily mean that he has a lead at this point, because we don't know the location of the last required item.
And that attempt to bomb jump just blew up in his face, figuratively and literally.
Absolutely. And it's just the compass.
We know the 2 items that were in Skull Woods were in the final segment where the boss is. Dojan's the final possible chest here. He's getting nothing but keys, which is how Misery Mire works.
I'm going to take the long way around here.
All 3 of these guys have the 3 crystals that they got out of the light world. Chrouya is the only one that has dark world dungeons right now. Like, right now, Chrouya is probably the one in the lead as far as the crystal count is concerned, but is missing a flute that would get him the Cane of Samaria that would allow him to go into Turtle Rock to at least explore that in case that has what he needs. This is a crazy race, and we've had a lot of crazy races during the course of this group stage.
That's the beauty of this randomizer, that it can create such craziness, for lack of a better word. I was trying to come up with something else, got a little tongue-tied. But
Zero having a little bit of problems with that jar.
Chrouya is going to go ahead and check the Master Sword pedestal and is going to be terribly, terribly disappointed.
You know, if that was the Ice Rod location, Dode would actually have an advantage right now.
Absolutely.
Sadly, it doesn't.
However, he is completing Misery Mire, and that is the Green Pendant Dungeon. So if Sahasrahla actually has the Ice Rod, that will be good news for Dode.
Yep. Right now, Dode needs to make it back up to the top of the graveyard to get the shovel, which yields the hammer. That would allow him to do some more work here in this dark world. Vitreous drops a piece of heart and the green pendant. All right, guys, put your guesses in chat. What do you think Zer0rush is going to have?
Green rupee. I think there's only 1 or 2 green rupees, and as a chessboard, I think they found both of them already.
All right, here we go. Let's check to see what Zer0rush has.
Dode taking his ride on his swag duck.
Dode hoping that this is the hammer. Really wants this to be the hammer.
Right.
He's going to be sorely disappointed on that, but if this is the Ice Rod,
he won't be as disappointed.
Yes. Those are the only 2 items right now that would make him happy.
That is true. He's found pretty much everything else. Yeah, it'd be funny. Okay, Sahasrahla's gonna give him a new outfit.
Ice Rod!
Ice Rod!
Zer0rush had the Ice Rod! Misery Mire required!
That is absolutely huge, because I think Zero and Chrouya are probably going to check things like Bumper Cave that they have not checked before they go into Mire. However, Meyer will be their first choice for pendant, or could be their first choice, because they know it is the green pendant, and they know that there is an additional item there.
The thing is Chrouya still needs to make it into the desert to get to the flute, which yields the cane of Samaria, which gets him access to Misery Mire, which gets him the green pendant, which gets you the ice rod. And a seed that already had these guys go through the desert way back at the beginning of this thing because they didn't have the boots, because you need to get to the moon pearl on the ledge of the pyramid to get to the dark world that had the boots. Have you guys caught up to where we're going with the seed yet?
You're making my head hurt just with that recitation of what we've done so far. It is painful. It is how we defined the term tortured logic. The complexity of the route needed to finish this game. Then Chrouya, like I said, is checking Bumper Cave because it's one of the few obvious places that's left without having to retrace steps.
Spike Cave, rather, but yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bomb increase. Nope.
So Dode opting not to head into Ice Palace at the moment.
So here's the thing. Dode backed out. Dode backed out of Ice Palace. This could be a big play for Dode right now.
Is he going above the graveyard? Has he remembered that he's going to the graveyard? He remembered.
Go, 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 go.
And it will put him in go mode.
Not yet.
No,
but
okay.
It'll help get him there. No. Nope, nope. Go back. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go.
We as commentators are not playing favorites, but when we see a possibility for some hype, we will be rooting for the hype.
Chrouya now going into Thieves Town. Dode now going into this cave here, north of the graveyard. I don't know what caused Dode to back out of Ice Palace, but it's a great move that he did. He's going to get the shovel.
The shovel will give him the hammer.
So now Dode heading to the Haunted Grove.
And completion of Palace of Darkness for Dode will be quicker because he already explored that dungeon a little bit before, so he'll have a quick path to completion.
All right, so Dode now checking. There's the hammer, and Dode at 1 hour 27:42 is the first player of these three in go mode, but he still has a lot of work to do. He's got to catch up on the 3 crystals that Chrouya already has in his arsenal.
And folks, remember, particularly with the amount of hype that these runners are generating today, give them a follow here on Twitch. Follow these runners and support them, as well as support Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 here on Twitch TV, providing you with all the hype of this 2017 Link to the Past Randomizer tournament.
Zero now up against Cold Stairs. Not going to give him what he needs. We now know what they need. This is just as bad as a pedestal seed, my friend.
It really is. They have pretty much explored every possible location. It's as much exploration as they could do without the pedestal being required.
What in the world is the seed taking these guys on?
Now the seed has probably got too much mushroom in it.
But as we mentioned before, Dode has a lot of work still to do here, even though he's on go mode. He's got Palace of Darkness. He already has the big key out of that, so that's just going to be a rush to the boss. He already pretty much knows that Swamp Palace is just going to be a boss rush too.
Dode hitting the one of my favorite tricks to watch is when you get those 2 Stalfos in that room with the same bomb.
Now, he didn't change the pegs. He already had that already set up. He's just going to do the bomb jump. No hovering strats for him this time around.
Yeah, and he's in go mode, so doing the bomb jump means he doesn't even need to find the big key. He can go, when you're in go mode, you can go through Swamp Palace without opening a single chest.
And the thing is that all three of these runners had a lead at some point in time. At a point where we didn't know who really genuinely had the closest to go mode.
And it all came down to decisions and gambles. And Dode took that gamble on Misery Mire, and it might have been one of the things where he said, well, darn it, I've already done the first 2 pendant dungeons. Let me just go ahead and grab another one. But it paid off, and it paid off huge.
But here's the thing is, he's still got a big distance to catch up to Chrouya. Chrouya is still... When Chrouya gets back into the desert and gets the flute, if he decides to go back into Misery Mire, that will be a big changer here. Now, when he goes back into the desert, will determine how close Chrouya is to getting into go mode on the same level that Dode is at right now.
Dode getting Cold Stare trapped in the upper right-hand corner with the quick kill.
Beautiful strats here. Beautiful strats. Now, I have a question. Where was the red mail?
Mind equals blown. I do not remember. I think we were just so busy concentrating on where in the heck is that ice run?
Argus had that, Argus, so in that case, Dode, because I was trying to think, if it's on a path that Dode is going to check a chest, then there's a different story there. But in this case, because it's at Argus, Dode's going to have the red mail too.
Absolutely, and that, even as good as all of our runners are in this game, it is not uncommon to see our runners actually die fighting Ganon.
And don't forget, we haven't seen where the silver arrows are yet.
No, so if this ends up being a silverless Ganon seed, then the red mail becomes even more of a factor. But considering that all 3 of our runners will have it, it's less of a factor than it could be.
And Dode steps into the Swamp Palace and remembers, oh, that's right.
That's right, there was that one chest that I couldn't get last time.
No, Dode was on that case of, I have to drain the swamp. And Chrouya's going back into the desert now.
I'm sorry, I was referring to Chrouya. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were. So, Chrouya going back into the desert. He's about to get the flute. Now, the next 5 minutes here for Chrouya will make a huge difference.
I can't imagine that he will do anything other than grab flute, go straight to Kakariko, and then go straight to Mire.
But here's the thing. What does he do after he gets the Cane of Samaria?
Yeah, he'll be right there.
His mind might go to check Turtle Rock.
That is true. Turtle Rock does have, 6 items, if you include the Mimic Cave?
Yeah, 5 plus 1. But that's the thing. If he goes to check Turtle Rock, that's it. Dode's going to take over the lead, and Chrouya's not going to have much of a chance. And Chrouya now picks up the flute.
So yet again, a runner's routing decision is going to have huge implications, probably beyond what the runner is thinking at the current time.
And remember, Dode can just blitz through Swamp, and he can blitz through Ice Palace. He can blitz through Palace of Darkness.
And Swamp Palace, I believe, Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, is the other dungeon that you could technically run through without opening a single chest.
What's that?
That Swamp Palace is one of only 2 dungeons that in Go mode you can conceivably go through without having to open a single chest.
Yep, that's right. The other one being Skullwoods. But Palace of Darkness for Dode, he has already got the big key, so he already knows where that is.
Right. Because he went in there fishing for the hammer earlier. Zero is going through Palace of Darkness right now, but he is not in go mode, and therefore has to do a full clear.
You mean zer0rush?
Yeah. Did I not say? Man, the hype is getting to me, my friend.
Okay, this is going to be the big decision here for Chrouya. He's going to get the Cane of Samaria. If he goes into Misery Mire, this is still a tight race. If he leaves and he goes up to Turtle Rock, that is it.
He's probably going to run over to Cliff Item too, so we got a minute before the hype decision kicks in.
Yes. Again, this is the big decision right there. If he does not go into Misery Mire, that's it.
Although we have seen stranger things happen, but the odds will not be on his side if he doesn't.
He's going to go back in. He's going to leave.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And
he's
fluting away. Oh,
he's up to the mountain. He's gonna go check Turtle Rock as Dode gets the crystal out of Swamp Palace. And a blitz through Palace of Darkness coming up here for Dode. zer0rush about to go to the Helmasaur King.
And it breaks our heart to see that happen, but that's only because we know where everything is. In Chrouya's mind, you got to admit that with the knowledge that he has, this is not a terrible play.
Yeah, it's not a horrible decision. The reason why we're commenting about it at this level is because we know it's the wrong decision.
Yeah.
It's not the bad play for Chrouya. It's the right play. It's the play you would expect to make at this point.
And that's what makes it
grabs.
And that's what makes it even more heartbreaking.
I mean, the only thing that can go Chrouya's way at this point is if the Mimic Cave or one of the other chests, we know that Dode's not going to check if one of them has silvers in it.
It's true, because it's what, 12 spin slashes with the Butter Sword to kill Ganon silverless.
And the thing is with Chrouya is, if Chrouya opts to go into... if Chrouya, after this, if he doesn't find what he's looking for, his next play has to be Misery Mire. He's already eliminated all the other possibilities.
Absolutely. Because he's full cleared the other two pendant dungeons already, and he knows that, because he did do a pedestal check, so he knows that Ice Rod is not on the pedestal, so he would have to surmise that it is with Sazeralah.
Or one of the two items in Misery Mire, but he'll have to go through Misery Mire to find that out. He'll have to go all the way through Misery Mire to find that out because Vitreous has the second item, which also helps play the idea that you've got to get the green pendant. And we're going to point this out here, that all three of these runners know how to do Silverless Ganon. We've seen it during the course of their races here. The difference is the time.
Because with Silver's Ganon, you could conceivably finish the final stage in 2 cycles if you get a double-double with the silver arrows.
Well, this is setting up pretty interestingly here with the 3 keys in the first 3 chests in Turtle Rock. And what I mean by that is the fact that that's now going to make it so Dode doesn't have to check anything else. He does have to get to the island to get to the big key.
So poor Zero forgot that if you jump off of a ledge with the big bomb will go off. So he just left the big bomb on the ledge, and it blew up. He was trying to check the double-chested fairy.
That's 100 rupees that he wishes he could have back.
Yeah, well, he's got enough. So another change that the developers made to the randomizer was upping the maximum amount of rupees from 999 to 9,999. So,
has anyone ever had 9,000 rupees?
I'm sure somebody did just to do it. It's one of those things that you would do just to say, hey, I maxed out the rupees, not in a race or anything, but you'd have to seriously work hard to get that many.
So Chrouya's going to have to go through this key door because he still does not have the big key, and you need that to get through the remainder of this dungeon.
And Zero trying to get the big bomb to the pyramid, but has forgotten that he has not killed Aghanim. So you tried to do the shortcut through Hyrule Castle, but that Dark World teleporter only becomes active once you've killed Aghanim.
No.
So he's going to have to go the long way around.
This has just been a comedy of errors for 09. He's got to think at this point the nerves are getting to him because it's an hour and 40 and you're not in go mode.
Right, and back to what I was saying earlier, where you know the quality of your competition, and you know that I am against some excellent players, and 140 is about the time where you're like, somebody's got to be close by now, and I'm not in go mode, so your nerves are starting to get shot.
Yeah, and you're going, where in the world could this one item be?
Yeah. Now, of course, you can also console yourself with the fact that every second that goes by that I don't see a dot done in my chest means I'm still okay. But
at this point, you've got to worry that they're now checking out the 22 possibilities in Ganon's tower.
Yes. So Chrouya going into Mimic Cave, which is not going to find him the ice rod he so desperately desires at this point.
That's a beautiful kill, though.
That is. But Dode is starting in on Turtle Rock in go mode, which is his last crystal dungeon. Chrouya has got to gamble on Misery Mire very, very quick here in order to have a prayer.
Zero's going into Misery Mire now.
It's the right play.
But the key setup here for these runners in Turtle Rock is going to play to the favor of Joe just getting in and out of here as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Now, again, the silver arrows could come into play. The left-right gamble in Ganon's tower could also come into play. But not certain at this point that that either one of these guys could catch up to Dode, given that he is in go mode.
So for those who are just tuning in here, we have a huge break in this race. Sarashula had the ice rod. The green pendant is the dungeon that zer0rush is in right now. Chrouya is gambling on Turtle Rock, thinking that the ice rod is there. Dode is in Turtle Rock on go mode.
And we have seen so many theoretical league changes in this race based on just the decisions that each of the runners has made, and the tempo of this race has changed at least 3 or 4 times. We have thought a different person was in the lead.
And the only reason you need the ice rod is to beat Trinex. Chrouya does not find the ice rod, has to leave now.
He's got to get out of there. It looks like he is.
The only play he has now is Misery Mire, but even he's going to be behind zer0rush at this point.
So, and Zero not only has to finish Misery Mire, but he has to go to Sahasrahla and complete Turtle Rock, because Dode is in probably about the last third of the dungeon right about now.
Yep. Like, Dode is pretty much just blitzing here to the finish.
No reason not to. He's in go mode, and again, as we said before, we're at almost a minute 45 into this run, so he's got to be thinking, I have got to go as fast as humanly possible.
Although you've got to think in an hour 45 game and how trolly the seed is, you know why there hasn't been a dot done.
That's true.
That there hasn't been a dot done because of the way the seed has played it out for you. And it's nothing wrong that these guys did. It's just that Doe decided, I'm going to go check out Misery Mire with a green pendant dungeon. And it turned out to be pay dirt, even though it overcame the fact that he left behind a loose square on top of the graveyard.
Absolutely, and that is the nature of the randomizer, and that's probably why it's appealing to, an older guy like me. Is that it's not so much down to the execution as it is in, say, a standard no major glitches race. Your decisions can be the difference between skill. Oh, Dode is hovering. Man, so impressive. As I talk about it not being your execution not being terribly important, Dode says, "Oh, what? You mean this execution? Frame perfect tricks?"
That's the third hover we've seen from Dode, and we have an idea he's not done yet. He's got one more hover in him.
Absolutely.
Could we see a Moldern 2 hover?
I'm not. He may, but the Moldorm 2 hover, I think, is probably so time-consuming that he may just go ahead and hook shot, because the longer the seed goes on, you've got to be thinking seconds could be important.
But wouldn't that be a nice validation chest non-check?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it wouldn't be awesome as hell, but...
Right, I get it. He's probably thinking that Chrouya and zer0rush are right on his tail, if not ahead of him, based on the fact that it's an hour 45 in, and he left behind the spot above the graveyard. Oh, the Mario didn't work out for him in that case, because when he hit the directional arrows ended up hitting the second switch.
He's Dode heading on into the Trinex battle, and not only does he have Butter Sword, but he also has half magic, so no one needs to be too terribly concerned. With Red Mail, Butter Sword, and half magic against Trinex, you're good.
So, barring a meltdown here, it does look like that we are going to be seeing DoDeChehedron join Sean Cass out of Group Q in the bracket stage.
And, I mean, seriously, you can't, as you alluded to earlier, Rick, you can't say anything bad about Chrouya or zer0rush. None of them made bad decisions. They both have outstanding execution. They've done well in combat. It's just a matter of taking the gambles and, making those decisions, which sometimes you can chalk it up to luck. Sometimes it's a matter of being able to analyze the seed in your head and know what the right call is.
It just turned out to be the seed trolling these guys as hard as it possibly could at several points in the race. We'll talk about that in just a moment, because it's time to play the chess game. 22 possibilities, 21 chess plus the torch. Pick a number, 1 through 22, and take a guess what number you think the big key is going to be in today. I'm going to turn to Phantom Ryu. What number?
13. I always have to choose 13 because I was born on the 13th.
Well, that's an interesting reason to do that.
Yeah, lucky number 13.
I'm going to go with number 10.
10! Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. Somebody in the chat will get that reference.
Well, we get small key, and that might get runners thinking going right. Doda's not. Doda's going to go the conventional route.
And we have seen that decision of left or right be the deciding factor in some of our races in this tournament. Doesn't look like it will be today, but it has been in the past.
zer0rush grabbing the green pendant out of the Palace of Misery. Misery Mire, it's called. Yep. About to go visit Sarashala, and will probably be hating himself at the fact that he had to go through Misery Mire to get the ice rod to get him to go mode. Meanwhile, on Dode's end, we are now 6 chests in, 7 chests in, and no big key.
Zero's heading straight. He will be happy to finally find the ice rod and be in go mode.
It's going to be a tight race for second place, though. Although Chrouya has already explored Turtle Rock, has the big key. It's just going to go very fast for him. zer0rush now on go mode.
Mail downgrade for Dode in the finding the blue mail in chest number 8.
And by the way, there's a piece of heart on the torch. That means Bob's going to live.
Will we see more teleporting Bob? Because if you powder Bob, Bob teleports to the other anti-fairy in the room.
I've always wondered what the name of the other Bob is, but number 9's the key. So we're going to come up to 10 through 13 now. Here's our chance here. Are we correct as commentators?
About to find out. And I can say in all honesty that I never knew about this room until I started playing Randomizer.
Must not be anything important there in the regular game.
I don't believe
10,
there is.
3 bombs. 11, heart. 12,
Come on, lucky number 13. No.
13, blue. Chrouya, ice rod, go mode. And time to go back to Turtle Rock with a few angry ice beams.
Which I don't blame him for being frustrated. This is one of the trolliest seeds I've seen so far.
This is a case here where he's getting upset with the seed here. The Dead Rocks aren't doing him any favors now. We get to see Bob's chest number 14 coming up. 14, small key. And no killing of Bob this time around.
Bob lives. Bob lives matter.
Oh, nice. Fiesel has a FFZ mode of it now.
All indications are that we will be a silverless Ganon here, which, as you mentioned before, Rick, all of our runners in this race are perfectly capable of doing silverless Ganon. But we'd all prefer to have the easy button, the silver arrows.
No! Right side!
So, fitting with the
Sanctuary heart was in that chest number 17.
So, what would be the most fitting chest for this trolley seed? Would be the tile room chest.
Of course. Why not?
Why not? Because this seed has shown absolutely no mercy to our runners yet. Why should it start now?
And so Chrouya now is in second place. Zero is going to be in third place at this moment. It comes down to execution for those two, but Chrouya has already got the big key. He can just make a blitz right to Trinex.
I will say that these three runners in this seed are setting a high bar for a three-way Sunday here on the Link to the Past Randomizer tournament.
And we get no. And there it is.
There it is.
So
number
chest
20.
Actually, that would be chest number 19.
19.
So if you had chest number 19 picked on your ballots today, you win a piece of our affection. We'll try to see if we can scrape one of Dode's 16 hearts when he's done with this seed. And he would like to take the seed, and he would like to burn it. All three of these runners would like to burn it. I bet they're going to delete this seed the minute they're done with it off their hard drives or flashcards.
Or kill it with fire. So Dode is having a little bit of trouble with the red Gorias through the gauntlet. Understandable without silver arrows. They take 2 shots rather than 1.
The saving grace for that is the fact that they've got the mirror shield, which is the other effect of, besides the eye lasers, is that it does reflect, or not reflect, but it does capture the Gria shots.
It does, and in a nod to Zelda 2, the programmers of Randomizer had the mirror shield also reflect the Wizrobe's beams, which I don't believe it did in vanilla.
No, it did not. Ooh, Chrouya
no.
misfiring the Canis Samaria. Just an exclamation point at this point in time. By the way, that means that the silver arrows have got to either be in one of 2 places. Because we pretty much have eliminated all the other possibilities where the silvers could be. It's got to be somewhere here on this Ganon's tower.
I think you're correct, because I think between all three of these runners, I think they have checked every other chest in the game.
Yes, they have. So it's got to be one of the 3 remaining chests we didn't see down in the basement, or the 4 chests we've got coming up here in the remainder of this game.
Now, we have had a run in this tournament already where silvers were in the validation chest post Moldorm 2.
I'm wondering if it's going to be in that one, those 2 remaining chests that Doe didn't get to before mirroring out of the right-hand side.
Or everyone's favorite tile room chest. Because Doe did skip that particular chest because that adds an additional 20-25 seconds to your time waiting for all of those tiles to destroy.
Absolutely. Now, Chrouya's going to head into Ganon's tower. If he opts to go right-hand side and gamble, he's going to catch up some time to what Doe ended up having earlier in this run.
And as I've said before, I mean, we have seen excellent runners fall during the Ganon fight. We've seen them die to Ganon. Even though they've practiced this dozens of times, the nerves, being in the race situation, having the pressure of not knowing whether you're in the lead or not, all of those factors could lead to problems with the final fight of the game.
And Chrouya now opting to go to the left-hand side, the standard route. And we've got, hovering! Hover! No!
Trolldorm lives up to his name. And that's another couple seconds, but Chrouya did not go right, so he will not be making up the time here in Ganon's tower.
So now he's going to wait for this to pop up. He's going to do this the regular way. And we find it's a heart container in the validation chest.
All right, so Dode will be doing Silverless Ganon.
So that means the silvers to kill the beast have got to be in one of 6 chests now.
Of course, Ganon will be of no help because he'll just ask if they found the arrows in his tower, so the world may never know.
Unless we miss something on the path here. There's a nice... I don't know if that counted as 1 or 2, though. But that's a nice double right there.
That is a double. We have seen a runner get a double triple in this
we've seen 2 of them. Sean Cass, who was in their group, ended up getting it. There we go. And we have Agnum 2 down, and Dode will be the first one to Ganon.
Just one disgusting pig monster in the way between DoDeChehedron and victory here.
There was all of 6 chests that didn't get checked in Ganon's tower. 3 up on the 5th floor that up to Moldorm 2, and the 2 that were in that same room that the big key was found in the tile room. And Ganon talking about breakfast here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I mean, that was breakfast time back when I was in college.
True. I'll give you that. And Chrouya not getting the bonk here, so ends up having to take the long way around the intended route.
Dode already moving into the final phase of the Ganon fight as the tiles are disappearing.
Yep, and he's going to get the confirmation that, did you find the arrows on my tower? Yep, Ganon's tower. Had to be that one of 6 possible spots right there. And good, getting the torch glitch.
If our runners didn't have the half magic, getting the torch glitch would be even more important because of the number of hits it takes to destroy Ganon. It is possible that a runner could run out of magic just by relighting the torches.
I think Doge is up to 6.
I don't think that last one hit.
He got, I believe, 7 now. maybe 8.
Maybe 8. Yep.
It's kind of hard because we don't have the sound, so we're not hearing the sound of the ow.
All right, that was a miss. That looked like a miss too. That's a hit. So that should be 9 at least.
There it is. That's 12. And DoDeChehedron is going to the brackets. And if this door opens up fast enough, he can get a sub 2. Come on, door,
Come
open
on,
up!
sub 2!
Can we get a sub 2? Come on!
Stop it, fanfare!
Ah! 159.59. He just got the sub 2.
Hey, he should get bonus points for that. 159.59. That is still a sub 2 hour. Beautiful.
And it just came down. He was the first one to take the gamble on Ice Rod or Misery Buyer, the green pendant.
Absolutely.
Whew.
Whew.
Wow.
What a race, what a seed. Again, Chrouya and zer0rush have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Both runners, again, did an incredible job with this seed. It just came down to decisions and willing to make the low percentage calls sometimes, or the non-obvious calls sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, representing Group Q in the bracket stage, DoDeChehedron.
What's up, everybody?
Congratulations, Dode.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing race.
I want you to give me your thoughts about the seed in one word.
Hammer. For me, hammer. I imagine for the other two, Shahabadu.
Yep, and that's where you ended up making a comeback because Chrouya had 6 crystals when you decided, I'm going to go through Misery Mire. What made you go through Misery Mire?
Green pendant, and I figured I made some bad decisions before that, having done 2 pendant dungeons, so I figured my only real chance was to make another gutsy decision and do another pendant dungeon, which I wasn't even sure. I forgot which one was green and which one was, if Thieves was red or green, and it was red. So I'm like, well, this could very well be a Sahasrahla seed. So since we got Kane in the Mire swamp area, went ahead and did Mire while we're there. Because there were only a finite number of locations the hammer could be left. So yeah, I was actually looking for the hammer, and I got Ice Rod, which was also needed, so that was nice.
What was your thoughts when you got the Ice Rod from Sahasrahla?
My heart rate went up a little bit there. I was like, oh, okay. All my lengthy endeavors might pay off here.
So what was going through your mind there, Dode, as the time kept creeping up? Because you, by the way, and I'm sure you know this, but you finished 1 second under 2 hours. So as the time creeped up, were you worried that your opponents were ahead of you? What was going through your mind as the time?
Yeah, I've actually been watching Chrouya quite a bit lately, and he's very good. He's typically like in the 140s in most randomizers that I've seen. So at any given minute, especially even after all the items I got, because he's very good at working out the logic. I was expecting him to dot done in the 140s, even after getting Ice Rod and Hammer where they were.
Okay, so you do in fact keep your IRC window visible while you're running, because some runners opt not to do that because they don't want to know.
I have it there just so it's easier once I finally have to type dot done. I don't really look at it a whole lot though.
Sure.
But
so
it is off to the side.
You started going through Ice Palace, and then you backed out. Why did you back out of Ice Palace, and then what opted you to head up to the top of the graveyard then?
So as I was fluting and swimming over to Ice Palace, I realized, well, I didn't get that one spot up there, which was where the shovel was. And then after I got the compass, I'm like, just thinking like, I'm not going to be able to get a whole lot of chests here in Ice Palace without a hammer. Well, I could get most of them, all but one or two. But it was... I wouldn't think the logic would really... I don't know, the amount of things that it forced you to do with the strange order, I felt like it would have been too strange for it to be in the finite number of chests it could have been in an Ice Palace.
So we see Chrouya... I'm sorry.
That revelation, while I was fluting, that it could have been in...
Chrouya's Bombo was seeing the validation test.
So you tried to hover over, past Moldorm too, but
Yeah,
it kind of trolled you there, Dode.
Yeah, I figured my hovers were pretty good overall, so why not give it a shot? And then of course he hit me. So
now the hovering requires a single frame timing. Do you have a trick that allows you to get that more consistently, or?
Yeah. So if you kind of have a loose grip between your forefinger and your middle finger, and just kind of gloss over the A button back and forth. It obviously takes practice, but you just have to release it for one frame, and then just if your movement's consistent, you'll keep hovering until you fall out of rhythm.
For being an old Street Fighter player, there are sometimes some tricks that you can use to buffer inputs to get those single frame timing combos. So everybody has their own tricks. I was wondering what yours was.
Yeah.
So Chrouya now up to Ganon. So you're now going to brackets. Tell me your thoughts as you now have made it to the bracket stage of this tournament.
So, oh man, this was the absolute last thing I was expecting, actually, because I'm actually like doing SGDQ preparation on the side right now. So I haven't fully been focused on Randomizer, but I have played it probably more than I like to admit, because it is a lot of fun. But I did start out in this bracket 0-2, and just since then I've gradually learned more and more about it and things that can happen. So.
And you came back, and now you've won 3 straight races, and you're going on to brackets. That's guaranteeing you at least 2 more races in this tournament.
Oh my goodness, that's insane.
My goodness, though. Congratulations on the win. Very exciting here. 1:59.59, your official SRL time. Just trying to freeze the pig just a little bit, Chrouya is. He already knows of his fate here. I mean, he already saw the dot done at this point. And we know that the silver arrows had to be in one of 6 possible spots here in this game.
Yeah. Did anybody check the top left chest in the right side room?
No.
Alright, so it was either that one, tile room, or the 2 in the Helma room, I think.
Yeah, no, I don't believe any of our runners have checked any of those. The last one that might have a shot here is zer0rush.
And he's already skipped over the Hemasaurs, and he's now skipping over the one in the room before the Moldern. So all 3 are going to be doing silverless Ganon.
The silver arrows will be lost for all eternity. I believe you had 32 bonks, Dode.
Oh yeah, I didn't worth that.
How about the progression of this seed that required you to go into Desert Palace twice?
Oof. That was like amongst my my hammer quest, because that was gonna just break the floodgates open, because there was a chance flute wouldn't have been required if hammer was acquired somewhere else, or if Ice Rod and Kane weren't over there. So flute actually wasn't really the item I was expecting, but once I got it, I'm like, okay, well, this can possibly get somewhere. So,
and Chrouya finishing in 2nd place, 2 hours, 8 minutes, 51 seconds.
And not far behind him is going to be zer0rush here. He's on Aghanim 2.
Yeah, Chrouya ended up opting to try because he found the Canis of Maria outside of Misery Mire. Check the spot in the northeast of the desert, because he was still looking for the ice rods too, and then gambled on Turtle Rock.
Yeah. Oh.
Had
A
he
Turtle
not
Rock gamble
gambled,
is never fun.
yeah, had he not gambled that, this would have been a much closer race between you two.
Because I'm assuming he checked the Mimic's cave too.
Yep.
That's
sure
just
did.
a whole bunch of extra time.
Well, he blazed through the Mimic Cave, but yeah, we're talking all that for a piece of heart.
So yeah, the reason that I found Ice Rod first was because I didn't have hammer. So in my hammer quest, that's when I found it. So I just threw a total brain fart. I didn't check the north cemetery spot.
Dude,
so
I will say that. Dude, I'll say that you and your fellow racers today set a high bar for hype in the three-way races that we're going to have going on today. We have there's another going on right now. There will be another three-way race at 5 p.m. on Speed Gaming 2, and another one at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Speed Gaming. And this race is going to be tough to top.
All right, let's go ahead and talk really fast to Chrouya because we're running out of time here. Your thoughts about the seed, Chrouya?
100%.
It felt like it.
I don't know.
The fact that you had to go...
I just made like my final decision was pretty much the deal.
Ooh, Zero ended up
Zero
falling.
taking a fall. Oh.
So yeah, the chain that required you to go into desert twice, then to Misery Mire to get the green pendant.
Yeah.
Unbelievable seed. And for a while there, you were sitting pretty good with 6 crystals.
Yeah, I was pretty much ahead of my average for the whole time. And then I decided to go pendant dungeons. Because I couldn't get to Mire. And then like the final option would have been the desert chest that I missed. And then when I went to Mire, I was like, I got Kane. Now, okay, this is like, how is this seed gonna treat me? Is it saying like, it could be pretty much both. Like in the logic progression chain, okay, the last item is Cane of Samaria, and then 2 Cane of Samaria dungeons open up, and I have to choose.
And at that point in time, Dode was on his way to Turtle Rock. He was just cleaning up the last 2 dungeons he already started going through. But you chose to go to Turtle Rock yourself instead of going to Misery Mire. But the thing is that when Dode went through Misery Mire, he was actually going through there looking for the hammer.
Yep.
I see.
That's why I was in there. Because I had 4 dungeons left. I hadn't checked the north cemetery spot. And all of them required hammer. So I only had Mire and just total brain farts. I forgot the north cemetery spot. So.
Okay, good. I was about to say, zer0rush did not get the torch glitch, and he's got very little magic, but he does have green goose still.
So I'm
He's
assuming...
also down to 2.5 hearts, so...
So what's the chest that I bombed? Was that the silver arrows by any chance? Or was
No,
it the heart
no.
container just before?
Just a heart container.
Yeah, the heart container.
Wait, so it wasn't the big chest? Or something?
Oh, I forgot about the big chest.
Yeah, it could have been the big chest. That was the one we all forgot about.
Because we were thinking maybe the 2 remaining that were in the compass room, or the tile room, or the ones that Mini Helmosaurus had. Or that room before Moldern.
Right.
Well, the world will never know. Chad is asking if we can get a silver spoiler, and unfortunately, these race ROMs are generated without spoilers most of the time, so none of us get to see them.
The admins have the spoilers, we don't. And we're seeing Zero about to wrap things up, so your thoughts as we close on out here, Chrouya?
Bad gamble. That's all.
He had an amazing race, though, and let's give it up for all of these runners here. You know, zer0rush and Chrouya and DoDeChehedron. DoDeChehedron's going to be moving on to the brackets. So we've got to get on out of here really fast. Unfortunately, we won't have time for zer0rush to talk to him about this seed. He does done here as he completes his battle against Ganon. And his finish time will be 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 13 seconds. So congratulations to all these runners, and be sure to follow these runners as they had given us a great race. What a fun tie-breaking race it was between these guys. I'm sure these runners kind of had other thoughts about it, but it was fun for us to watch as viewers here. So I'm going to give you a chance to say something in just a moment here, Phantom Rio, but we've got to get out of here. We've got Metroid Zero Mission 100% tournament coming up here in just a few minutes. There is another Link to the Past randomizer tournament race that's going on right now on Speed Gaming 2. So head on over there for another 3-wave race. More 3-wave races coming up here at 5, over there at 5, and over here at 6 p.m. Your thoughts, Rio?
As I said before, the runners have set a high standard for our 3-way Sunday here today. Absolutely amazing play from everyone involved. Again, I will say follow these runners on Twitch. They deserve it. And for everyone in the chat, thank you for your support, your attention. It has been a great start to 3-Way Sunday, and we hope to see you guys again on all of our races in the Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament 2017. Thank you.
All right, so once again, that's it for us here for Link to the Past Randomizer for now. We take you over to the Metroid Zero Mission 100% Tournament. So I'm Adirondack Rick. Take us out of here, Phantom.
I'm Phantom Ryu. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks again.